My name is David Domine, and I love old houses. So as long as I can remember, old houses have held a certain fascination for me. Big houses, small houses, houses made of stone, brick, adobe, you name it. I've discovered over the years, old houses are like old people. If you take the time to listen, they have a story to tell. So I'm going to tell you some of my stories about old houses tonight. Nothing is more painful to me than the sight of an abandoned old house. Aside from the potential eyesore it presents, it says a lot of things about the community and the people that live there. It speaks of apathy, it speaks of carelessness, of wastefulness. And I'm hoping that tonight you'll learn how to love an old house. Fortunately, in our city, we've got great connections to the past. We have lots of historic neighborhoods, and one of them that's very well known is the old Louisville neighborhood. We've got 48 square blocks there, 1,400 structures. It's something you just don't find in other parts of the country. So I'm going to talk a little about what I discovered in old Louisville. I moved there back in 1993, and I was immediately taken by this wonderful display of vibrant architecture, wrought iron gates, elaborate windows, doors, cornices. These were all windows looking out at me, inviting me to come inside and discover past lives. So when I had the chance to buy an old home myself, I snapped it up. Back in 1999, I bought the Widmer House. It's an old house built in 1895. After restoring the wonderful chateau-esque facade, I moved in and I lived there for 8 years, and I listened to the stories this house had to tell me. I invited people over for dinner, and around the dinner table we talked about old houses, and that gave me ideas. And so I started writing books about the neighborhood and about its old houses. And I discovered that through ghost stories, through recipes and food, I could bring back a colorful past that both educated and entertained. And I was really surprised to see how much people in this area love their old houses. So one of my most recent books just came out last week, and it's a book about old houses. It's called Old Louisville, Exuberant, Elegant, and Alive. And to do it, I spent 2.5 years working with a photographic team from Virginia. Their names are Franklin and Esther Smith. And we like to show off old houses in this book. So I'm going to show off some handiwork now. In this book, you see a number of things. You see old houses, and you find out when they were built and who lived there. We talk to people like Susan Shearer, who lives in a house on 6th Street. We find out why she loves her old house. And because people love to see what old houses are like on the inside, we take an intimate tour. We go from bedrooms to bathrooms and closets. And public rooms are often the most impressive rooms because this is where you impressed your visitors. So we see a lot of foyers and reception halls and public areas. And in addition to that, we see a number of kitchens. We see old kitchens. We see new kitchens. And for me, kitchens have always been fascinating because kitchens are the heart of a house, and this is where people swap stories. And kitchens change throughout time. It's hard to find really old kitchens. So I'm so glad that in Susan Shearer's house here, we found an old kitchen that I could portray. And there's a number of dining rooms featured as well. Back in the day, dining rooms are where people gathered and they exchanged the news of the day, and they sat over long dinners. This was the day's entertainment. And so this is the house of Bob and Eva Wessels. They live on 4th Street, and one of my favorite dining rooms in old Louisville. Someone once said that much as facades are the face of an old house, the parlor is its bosom. And this is a place where confidences are exchanged and friendships are sealed. So there's supposed to be a picture here, but it would have been the picture of John Enoch's parlor on 3rd Street, and I've exchanged a lot of confidences in that parlor, and got a lot of good ideas for my stories. So now it's time to imagine your town without old houses. What would it be like? It wouldn't be very attractive to me. Probably be a subdivision with a lot of strip malls. So it's time to ask what you can do to love an old house. And it's not as complicated as you think. There are a lot of things you can do. You can take a night and spend it in a local bed and breakfast. In this area, we've got tons of bed and breakfast, and in Old Louisville, there are almost a dozen. So go there, spend a night. The Culbertson Mansion on 3rd Street, Austin's Inn Place, the Gallery House on 6th Street. There's plenty of places to stay. Another thing you can do is stay in or visit a historic house. We've got a number of historic homes. Farmington and Locust Grove are among the oldest in this town. town. But in the old Louisville area, we've got the Brennan House, we've got the Conrad Caldwell House, we've also got the Ferguson Mansion, which is the headquarters for the Filson Historical Society. And another thing you can do is take tours in neighborhoods that are known for their historic preservation. Old Louisville, for example, since 2005, when my first book came out, we've been offering many tours of the neighborhood. We do history and architecture tours, evening ghost walks, lantern walks, and in a given week we give 20 tours to people from around the world and from this area. And then finally, another thing you can do is attend events in neighborhoods known for their old houses. You can attend the Spring Fest, which is coming up in a couple weeks in Old Louisville. Just last weekend we had the Cherokee Triangle Art Fair. In October we have the St. James Court Art Show. And there are a lot of things to do in Old Louisville itself, but check out your favorite neighborhood and see what's going on. For my part, in the time that remains, I'm just going to keep on writing about old homes and trying to get the word out and let people know about the old homes I love in this area. And I think this is really important because when you care about your old houses and your old buildings, you take care of them. And when you take care of your old houses, you don't abandon them. And when you don't abandon them, you don't tear them down and make parking lots. So in closing, I'll tell about a couple more projects I've been working on, and strangely enough, they involve old houses. One is a memoir from my days living in the house on 3rd Street. It deals with my discovery of the neighborhood and the strange people, the wonderful people, the unique architecture I met there. Another one is a murder mystery. And of course, there's The House in Old Louisville. This is a true crime book I've been working on, and it's been in the news a lot recently, last night, for example. And this is a perfect example of a house having a story to tell. A body in the basement, drugs, kinky sex, counterfeit money, a female impersonator. You know, you couldn't make this stuff up, so I'm writing the book about it, and if you're lucky, it'll be out next year, and I hope in the meantime you'll love an old house.